the reflection of a kiss. The worst moment of the week was Monday morning. Alicia opened her eyes reluctantly and turned off the alarm clock. It was time to start the daily routine. Before rising from bed, she mentally reviewed her day: work, gym, and shopping for dinner. Gonzalo hadn't woken up yet, so without glancing at her husband, she shook him a little and told him it was time to get up. Half an hour later, feeling a little more awake, the young couple had eaten breakfast, brushed their teeth, and dressed appropriately for work. They went down in the elevator, which was like one you would find in any building, in any city, in any country. Like so many other elevators, it had a large mirror. As they went down from floor to floor, Alicia looked at her reflection and adjusted her bangs. She noticed that her makeup turned out well, highlighting her brown eyes and the cinnamon color of her skin. Dressed impeccably, as required by her job as a bank manager, she wore a black skirt and jacket that perfectly framed her tall, slender body. The white shirt added a touch of elegance and cleanliness. They almost matched in attire. Her husband also wore a black suit and white shirt, accented by a green tie that complemented his eyes.
"Don't forget to buy the oil,"
Gonzalo said, fixing his tie while looking in the mirror.
"I'm going to go to the fishmonger to pick up the salmon."
Yes, Gonzalo, I already have it covered. I'm going to go to the supermarket when I pick up your suit from the dry cleaner.
Alicia looked at her outfit, thinking it was much more elegant than that of the employee in Cubicle 5 that her colleagues talked about so much. Returning home after a long day, Alicia felt that the day had been as monotonous and exhausting as always. While waiting for the elevator, the feeling she experienced was not tiredness. It was boredom. Everything seemed too much the same as yesterday and tomorrow, always waiting for something that would never happen. She felt like she was trying to advance to the next level, but the goal never materialized. Just seconds before the door closed, her husband stepped into the elevator.
"I have the fish,"
said Gonzalo, picking up the bag and looking at his wife's reflection in the mirror.
Great!
Alicia looked at her wrinkles and thought that she couldn't allow the frustration of the afternoon to show on her face.
One of these days, I'm going to get a wrinkle so big that it's going to mark my whole face.
"Again, Mario."
A smile almost escaped from Gonzalo's lips.
You know that what is happening is truly unfair. I can't believe that worthless guy makes more than me just because he is a man.
"We'll talk to your boss."
He is also a man. It's a hopeless case.
The remainder of their ride to the 23rd floor was spent in silence. Soon, they were back in the elevator, headed to a birthday party. In all honesty, neither could stand Doggo anymore. He had been close to Gonzalo when they were in high school, but as their interests grew, life took them in different directions. The reason they were attending his party was to demonstrate to Alicia that some commitments were unavoidable.
"Don't tell me anything. I know you don't want to go."
Gonzalo said once they got on the elevator.
"You don't have to be rude."
I didn't say anything at all.
Alicia said, trying unsuccessfully to unwind the chain that had gotten tangled around her neck. Looking in the mirror, she couldn't see the brooch very well, and she refused to ask Gonzalo for help.
I don't understand why you want to go when I know you don't like him.
You know it's not like that.
And the horrible girlfriend he has. How does he not realize that she is only with him for the money? Who else is going to put up with him? It's obvious how badly he treats her, and she clearly wants to be a kept woman.
Gonzalo's response to Alicia's accusation never came, because at that moment the elevator door opened. It was a relief for him because he would have either had to lie or admit that she was right, and he wasn't sure which was worse. A long night awaited them, filled with uncertainty and unresolved tension. Although the party at Doggo's house had its fair share of inconveniences, nothing could compare to dinner at Gonzalo's parents' house the following night. It was always the same story and the same comments, leaving him unsure about how to respond. He was always stuck in the eternal dilemma of choosing between offending his mother or his wife. As they went up in the elevator, he regretted choosing his mother's side that night.
Why is it so hard for your mom to understand that it's our issue and not hers?
Said Alicia, looking at her belly in the mirror with a distracted air.
When the time comes, we will know. It's a very private thing for a couple. Why does she always have to make a comment about it?
You know she doesn't do it out of ill will. She wants grandchildren. It's not to hurt you.
Please, Gonzalo, don't make me angry. I understand that she wants grandchildren. But are those double-meaning comments necessary? And she talks to you as if I'm not there. What would happen to my flat stomach?
Alicia thought as the elevator ascended, mirroring the tone of the argument with her husband. All her life she had worked hard to stay in shape, and now she feared her body would change dramatically with a baby. She was aware of the superficiality of that thought, but when added to the fact that her career would be paused for a while and her life would revolve around another person, it made for a difficult decision. The night proved to be even more difficult for the couple than the ride in the elevator. Doubts, concerns, and claims were present. Both of them understood it was time to move on. Their lives had come to a standstill, yet neither was willing to yield. They knew that many of the things that had once united them no longer existed, but others had emerged. The question was whether these new elements were enough to help them rebuild as a couple. The question accompanied them both as they went to sleep still angry, not with each other, but with the realization that everything was not as easy as they had thought. Life had revealed to them an ongoing struggle in pursuing a constantly shifting goal, one that occasionally drew them closer and at other times pushed them away. Finding a middle ground was the key. That night, the couch served as Gonzalo's bed, and they both had breakfast immersed in their own worlds. With their routines firmly established, the couple reunited at the elevator door. The two felt that the journey ahead was even more uncomfortable than that with a perfect stranger. Was there anything left to say, and what was in the cards for both of them? They loved each other and wanted to be together. There was no doubt about that. But was that love enough? That thought lingered in their minds as they stepped into the elevator. The surprise on both their faces was evident, but it was not reflected anywhere, as the mirror was no longer in front of them. They felt oddly out of place, standing there and facing a wall. The couple moved uncomfortably, not knowing very well what to do. They had to talk to each other, but conversing without the mirror between them felt daunting. Facing each other in this diminished privacy frightened them. Carefully and slowly, almost without realizing it, Gonzalo and Alicia turned around to face one another. For the first time in a long time, they seemed to see each other. They carefully observed the face of the other person with whom they lived, slept next to, and had not paid attention to in a long time. In that second, that fraction of an instant that felt eternal, yet lasted hardly any time at all, they understood that they still loved each other. Although they might not have realized it before, it was only because they hadn't looked closely. The elevator continued to descend as their emotions rose. That trip allowed them to reconnect and get to know each other again without the barrier of a mirror. Their marriage felt revitalized. Without even saying a word, they threw themselves into each other's arms. They kissed as if it were both their first and last kiss. They lost all sense of space, air, time, and the mirror. When the elevator doors finally opened, the doorman looked surprised to find them still locked in an embrace.